Alright guys, so the next thing we're gonna do, carry on our series here, is that instead of doing this on when we press play, let's just do it on the begin play. Event begin play. I don't know why when you type like begin play, I don't know, I know it's coming up. But anyway, so we're gonna do that. Perfect. Compile and save. Let's try again. So we're gonna set here, go back here. So I can keep pressing number 1, and then when I press number 2, it goes back to normal. Nice. Now, the next thing we have to basically do here, right, is, oh yeah, it's complaining that this is a problem. So what we have to do here, I think, is custom event called API set camera location. Or what we can do here, let's just be more clever, right? Let's just add a delay. Let's set like 1 second, you know, and then we added this 0.8, for example. So it gives time to the engine to start, and then we can go back to normal, right? So that problem should be resolved. Perfect. Now, when we place the part here, so apply part in place mode, we need to go back, right? And we need to change the set collision presets. We need to make sure that on pawn is blocked. So we're gonna go back here to set collision profile. I think it's called profile name, or set collision object type. What we have to do, collision enable object type. That's it. Pawn. Set collision to pawn. I think that's the one. Let me just double check. Alright guys, so I was just doing some research and I found out that there's a thing called set collision response to channel. So I was trying to set up the object, so that's completely wrong. So just go ahead and call this node called set collision preset to channel, which is in essence the same thing as coming here and tick the boxes, okay? The only thing we need to do is that pawn we need to set to block. And the reason why we're doing this is because I'll show you. So when I press play now, and I press 1, and I press number 2, I can now collide with this. Alright. Now there's a problem here. I think what's going on is our camera is a little bit funny. I'm not sure why, but instead of setting up this, let's just leave it as 0, 0, 0 for now. Let's focus on this issue later on. Alright. Now we have the collision setup more or less done, right? Kind of, but it's blocking the player, which is what we're looking for. We need now to start to actually planning the parts. And luckily enough, this part, this time, I have prepared myself and I created for you guys a really cool files on Blender, alright? And I have a bunch of modular car parts, and we're going to be using all of those parts on our game. So by the end of it, you're going to actually have something really cool. Now to import assets, it's very simple. Let's go back to modules. Let's create a new folder called car. I'm going to create here a folder called mesh. And I am going to go back to my exports. And I'm just going to drag and drop to the scene. And I'm going to press import. I think there is 1 or 2, 3 parts that have like some kind of an issue when trying to import. But we don't need to worry about them because the whole point of this is just to have a working demo for us. And then of course that later on you can change those parts and you can implement your own things on your car. So it's loading up. Alright, okay, that was actually quite cool. Now one thing I like to do is when those things they happen, I like to go here, and there is a way to filter. So we can go back to filters. We can go back here to materials, and we can search for materials, right? And I think function, I think we can tick all of this. Layer, I mean, I'm gonna tick all of those options. I know they sound a little bit unnecessary. And now I'm gonna create a new folder called material, and I am just gonna drag all this thing inside the folder material, move that. This is just a personal preference. I don't want to have to deal with all those filters here. And now I can just go back and I can reset filters, and everything goes back to whatever it was before. Nice. Now that you have done this, we have a very nice base for our car game. So as I was mentioning before, the idea is that we're going to have the parts that you're going to add. So you're going to be able to cycle through those parts. And the other idea is that you're going to have like a main cube where it's going to be the base of everything. Luckily, we have something here called connector, right? And that's going to be the one that's going to be the block of the car. So it's going to be the one that's going to be the structure. As you can see, you can put parts everywhere. And that's what we're going to be focusing. Now to set up this part, we are going to actually go back to our input module, building. Now we have the base building part. I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a child class. I'm going to call this BP base connector part, right? I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open up, and now I'm going to browse to the asset here. And if you pay attention, what I'm going to do is, where's the best way to do that? I'm just going to drag and drop this to my scene, or on this case, I'm going to click on the cube and then make sure that you replace the mesh here. Perfect. And that's pretty much all we need, right? Now we can just go back, drag and drop, and paste this part here. And there we have it, our example part, right? That we can actually do it. Now, as you can see, I'm having issues trying to aim, right? So one trick I like to do here, I'm just gonna delete this stuff because I don't need them, is let's go back here to our building mode, right? Let's do something very simple. Let's go back here to the widget. Let's create one called WBP building aim, right? Or actually, let's just call this building widget. We can use this widget in the future to do not only the aiming, but more things. Let's search for a canvas, and the canvas. And then we're gonna add an image, right? Now I'm gonna add this image on the center. 0.5 and 0.5, very standard stuff. Nice. Now we do need to set the position, the size of this. So we're gonna add like a 10 by 10. This is like aim, right? We're gonna call this aim. It may be too big, but we don't need to worry about that right now. So let's just try this. Now the way you added this to your game, super simple. When we start to build here, I gotta just give me some space. I'm gonna create a widget. Okay, the widget's gonna be this aiming stuff, and we're gonna add to the player to the viewport. I'm gonna add this here. Now one thing that you have to do as well, make sure that you promote this to a variable called widget building, whatever. The reason why we do this is so when we cancel here, we can just do a remove from parent, and then we added this stuff right there. Okay, now look what happens. So when I press play, oh yeah, sorry, we need to add the widget that we wish to add. Now if I press 1, now I have an aim on my screen. If I press 2, it stays there. So what happened is that I can go back to my blueprint, go here, and I can just do that. Now it's not connecting, it's not aiming to that part because of something very simple here actually, which is basically on this part. If I go here to visibility, so to the collision, we disable this, right? So if I go, I think if I add that to the pawn, I am able now to aim on it, or maybe it has to be visibility and camera. So I can actually go back and do something like that, right? But for now, just leave it like this. We're gonna handle this in runtime. Make sure you get to this point, make sure you understood what we did, and then in the next one, we're gonna add the sockets. So we can actually place all those blocks into the right place. Thank you very much for watching, and I see you on the next one.